Hi everybody, I'm Armen, and I'm sitting here with Dan Watanabe, who was a former development executive for Fremantle Entertainment. So Dan, we left our last conversation off about we were talking about the business and creative side of development. As a student, I've heard a lot of opportunities about internships and stuff like that at various companies. What are some advice about how to get an internship and then how to thrive in one once you have one?
Oh, okay. When you're in school, an internship is indeed a really, really good way to get into the development department, because as you might have guessed, this is not a job that gets advertised in the Hollywood Reporter or in the LA Times and the want ads or on Monster.com. So an internship's a good way in, so you get to meet people and create your first networking opportunity. I tend to be a little bit contrarian on this because I'm not a 100% fan of internships. I think that they're extremely useful and they're extremely beneficial. But I think that a lot of times, if you're entrepreneurial enough, you can do an internship and you can do the same thing that you would do in an internship and get paid.
Right. I've heard a lot of other people tell me about stories about they do a lot of stuff that they shouldn't be doing as interns. What advice can you give to protect yourself from that, like doing stuff that you should?
Well, when you're doing an internship,
like not being abused, basically.
The reason you're in an internship is supposedly so that you can get hands-on training for certain aspects of a job. Now, a lot of the hands-on training comes after you are somebody that the company knows they can trust. So even in an internship where this is not really something that you should be expecting to do, be good at making coffee, be good at answering the phone, be good at filing and doing all of that. When you've proven yourself there, then a lot of times the internship boss is going to be much more willing to give you a job that has a little bit of responsibility.
Right.
For example, if I had an intern working for me, I would want to know that they knew how to answer the phone and take notes during a meeting and summarize those notes before I would give them a screenplay to cover.
Right.
And because I want to know that the person is thorough and has a good ability to just repeat back what had been said.
So as an intern, other than doing phones and stuff, like a big part of it is reading scripts. What advice can you give about doing coverage and how to do it right?
Well, first of all, what coverage is it's the process of reading an entire screenplay from beginning to end, and then writing what's called a story report after that. The story report on the first page usually identifies the script, who it came from, and importantly, what the attachments are. Because a lot of times, even if the script is not great, if it has the right attachments, a company is going to say, we're going to do it. So you pay attention to that, and then you do what's called a log line, where you summarize the screenplay in about 3 sentences. And you try to be a little bit pithy with it, and you try to say what's common about the story first, and then give what the twist is, because that's what distinguishes one script from another. Then there's usually a very brief commentary, which is no more than 1 or 2 sentences that summarizes what you thought of the script in general. Does it work for the company? That's the real deliverable. Does it work for the company? And that's more important than whether it's even good, is does it fit? Following that, you do a synopsis. Now, the synopsis is usually 1 page, single-spaced. And during that, you explain what happens in the story. This is where a lot of readers, and especially on the internship level, have an issue, because what you'll try to do is put in too much detail. The best way that I can say to do a good synopsis is to pretend like you're telling a story to your best friend of a movie you've just seen that you liked. And you'll notice that what are you going to do? You're going to focus on the main character and on their emotional beats.
Right.
Secondarily, you'll only name the characters who are important. Secondary characters and people who aren't really that important to the story, you just describe who they are. This is the mailman. We don't need to know it's Mike. And you conclude it with of course, how the story ends in terms of its resolution. Do not go into every detail, because clarity, and I know people are going to kill me for saying this, but clarity is more important than absolute fidelity and accuracy. If someone can understand what the screenplay was about when it's done, you've won.
Is that the same process for also doing like coverage on a book? Because I was assigned to do one.
It's exactly the same.
okay.
Now, with a book, they might want a little bit more detail because a book is structured differently from a movie script, and,
Right.
and the experience of an audience is going to be different. But now you come to the commentary section of a synopsis. When you're doing the commentary, what you want to focus on is what works. Start with what works, because a lot of times an executive, when they're called by an agent or by a writer, is going to actually read your commentary out loud. So do not be snide. This is not your time to become John Simon or Clive Barnes. This is your time to be very, very objective. And if you say that there's something wrong with the script, don't say, well, you know, the dialogue sucked. Explain why. Say it was too expository in that the characters don't seem real because all they do is explain what the plot points are. So you want to fill
Right.
in the details. And at this stage in the game, if they ask you to give your advice on how to fix it, great. If they don't give too much advice, because again, as a development exec, reading this on the phone to someone and giving a soft rejection, you don't want that person on the other end to say, well, if I change this, that, and the other, might you change your mind? And so just make sure that it's generic.
Okay.
That's basically it.
Okay, thank you, Dan, for sitting down with me